Hello, Belinda here from Abiotic Drivers Australia again, and we're here talking about using visual skills for driving, and I'll introduce you to Simon, who will be teaching us today. Simon.
Hi, I'm Simon. I'm an orientation and mobility specialist working in Quebec City, and I'm also working in the bioptic program for people driving with visual deficiency. So today I'm just going to give you a little glimpse inside the program. It's really not complete, it's really not covering all the parts, but it's going to give you a little cue about what we're doing in intervention to get our people ready to get to driving.
Okay, let's go.
For the first part here in the screen, what you see is it's a plan of our area in Quebec City. So what we use there is to understand the environment. So all the streets are built, and the logic between all the highways and other street or main street that we've got in our environment. After that, what we do is using some sequence to try to improve our understanding and be able to anticipate what's coming, even if we don't see clearly the information in the environment. Let's see here. We've got some road in kind of a forest environment. So first we will try to analyze this picture and get the information we can get there. And after that, try to understand what is not there. So Belinda, if I was asking you first, what could you get me some information that we can get in that picture?
Okay, so what I see here is two lanes of a road, and there is a double line in the middle of the road, and as it's a double line in the middle of the road, that tells me that I can't cross it, and so that tells me that there's something up ahead that says that I can't overtake. So if I'm looking ahead, I can see that the tree line and also the mountains, and I'm thinking that there's actually a corner and a crest coming up. That would be my interpretation.
Yeah, that's good. And that's really the orientation one get when we analyze this picture. So the thing is also, I've got the street lane, but I still got the double line in the middle. So it means we can cross. So we could ask also, why is that there? Why do I see that the road is straight, but if I was in a car, I could not pass another car who was there? I think that the vision is quite clear. But if, like you said, Belinda, if I'm checking the trees and the environment, I see, there's possibly a curve going forward. So if I analyze a little bit further, I'll say, there's probably a curve on the left. If I'm checking that a little bit further, I've get the little bit confirmation of that curve on the left, and also the little hill who maybe can tell me that I'm not aware of all the information that are in the environment. If I'm passing to another picture, that one is in the city. We're talking about the same thinking as earlier, but of course the environment is different. So for that picture, Belinda, what could you tell me as pertinent information that we could use?
Okay, so for me, being a city environment, for me, I'd consider this to be a high risk environment for a driver. And so I would be looking at going at the slower speeds. I understand that there's probably a 40 or 50k area. And looking at the road, I can see to the right of me there is, to me, it's either like a bus or a truck. but it is blocking what might be coming to the right of me. So I'd always be cautious to look towards that direction in case there is a pedestrian coming out. I can see to the left of me there is a street, and so the cars could be coming out of that street or turning into that street. And for me, I'd be looking ahead at the buildings to see gaps in the buildings to where the streets might be turning. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm just going to go a little bit further because, well, you have to get all that in a fast pace because, well, of course, while you're driving, it's faster than walking. So I've got to analyze all this information in a short time to able to react the best way and adapt my conduct the best way to be able to receive the information and be able to adapt my driving. The other thing that we see, like you said, I think that there's a gap between those two buildings. Well, I can see it. The contrast also is not that big, but I can see through the roof that, well, of course, that's really two buildings different. But here I cannot see it because of that truck that we were talking earlier. But here I will say a queue. I'm not certain that there's a street there. But I've got to think to myself that there's a possibility. So I've got the possibility of having maybe the driver of that truck coming down, or another pedestrian crossing the street, or the other option also, maybe I have a car coming from that possible street who could try to get in, who cannot see me also because of that truck. So I don't have to take all that together, but if I do it, it's giving me more chances to be able to react the best way and stay in security and with confidence also that I've got everything that I need to drive safely. The other thing that we can see, of course, is since we had a winter in Quebec, we see the lanes that are not really that clear, so sometimes can give you some harder tasks to do with your eyes because, well, sometimes if we go for look further, we can not get all these information in the first look. The other thing that we can see here, we've got a light. Of course, maybe I will not be able to see it with my own eyes. Maybe my biotic will be maybe the material that could get me to get that information. But in the environment, it's not really recommended to use the biotic because at that point, you're using really the field of vision to detect if there was a pedestrian or any other potential risk that could get into my lane of driving. So using my bioptic at that point will be a little bit risky because I cannot take any second to put all my attention to a little field while the danger that can go with that will be maybe on the side or hide between that truck or between the two buildings. But there's a but. We have to adapt ourselves to be able to use the biotic anytime that we can get to. So in that kind of environment, we will use maybe all the stop sign. When we have to make a complete stop, maybe a quick look, less than 1 second, or at the red light, a quick look, and can give me some cues for what's gonna come and where to put my attention and where should I adapt my speed and my conduct. The last thing that we have here also will be my lane of buildings, who tell me that even if it's really charged, I could guess that the street will turn on the right if I'm following the roof of those buildings. Do you have any other question, Belinda?
I think that is absolutely really valuable information about how a low vision person can look at their environment and be able to anticipate other road users or anticipate situations of risk but also be able to understand how they use their field of vision and when they can use their bioptic in the situations of risk. And I know with my practice, I'm exactly the same in driving in these risky areas. You're going at a slow enough speed that you don't need to use your bioptic, because you will see the traffic lights anyway coming up without being able to use the bioptic. But when you're stopped at a stop sign or a red traffic light, then you can use your bioptic to look further ahead if you want to, and see the need. Thank you so much for reaffirming that. This is really useful information, and something that they would then practice when they go to the next stage for commentary driving as well.
If I had to put a little more on that part, is now, of course, we're stable, we're not on the car, we don't have any decision to make. At that part, of course, I've got all those things to analyze while I'm driving, and also looking forward to stay straight in my lane. So the multitask here is really the big part of it. But, and with also the attention that I've got to put there. So if all those questions that you've got in your mind, all the cues that we talked about, if your mind is not ready, you're gonna lose too much time, and you're gonna put too much attention on that other cues, while you have to do all this together. So the thing is, while we're doing the program, is to, well, I would say, teach the student or the future driver to have that way of thinking all the way, so he can not lose any time or any second not doing anything, just looking, because we're going way further and looking, because anything that we're seeing, we have to a little bit analyze it to be able to take as much material we can get from.
Excellent.
And well, if I can get